Hello everybody, this is Kyrix, another edition of This Week in Kyrix. Today is the episode for Wednesday, May 2nd? Yes, of 2018. It's being recorded Thursday morning, because that's how I do. My week's actually been rather eventful. Note that eventful does not necessarily mean interesting, because it really kinda hasn't been. But nonetheless, lots been going on. For starters, Willow found my down arrow key. God, I miss having a headlamp in 7 days. But anyway, my laptop is really old, and the key for the down arrow fell off. I don't want to know, like 3 months ago, maybe. And I just kind of push it back into place, and sometimes it stays. Usually it doesn't. It'll pop off every hour or so. But I usually find it. Sometimes it leads me a merry chase, but I find it in the end. And one day it fell off and disappeared. I just couldn't find it at all, so I had to push the little spongy thing. There's a little rubber. It looks like a funnel. It's designed so that when the button pushes down on it, it kind of inverts itself and pushes a sensitive touchpad that activates the button itself. Well, I basically had to manually push that. Well, I was out playing the PS4 one day, which is unusual because I don't do that very often for reasons. Those reasons generally being that it's kind of out of my way to do so. But I was out playing the PS4 for a little bit, and I heard Willow tapping something on the table. It sounded, kind of clinky. I'm thinking, there's nothing clinky this cat owns that I should be hearing. So naturally, I was intrigued what the hell it was. I was thinking it was a bottle cap, but being nosy, I just checked, She's allowed to play with bottle caps, so that wouldn't have been a big deal. Lo and behold, it's my fucking down arrow key. So I grabbed it and promptly glued the little rubber thing to it. So it's super glued in place now. I did it slightly off center, so the key will not properly sit in the down arrow, but it's like 80% there. And at least now I can't lose it easily. Though the downside is now, if I do lose it, I now have no way of pushing that button. But, God, it's hot as balls in here. It's actually relatively early in the day. It's only like 3 in the morning. I went to sleep at around 10 p.m. So I'm sitting here thinking it's like 5 in the morning when it's not, I've actually had a bit of a cold all week. I have been very lax in my my quill regimen. My NyQuil, my DayQuil, so on and so forth, I'd probably be a lot further having whooped this cold if I had been on top of that shit, but I haven't, so that's a thing. But it is what it is, Okay, I've got cool. Monday was the 30th, and on the 30th was the pet's vet visit. Oh boy, that was a fucking day. Typically on Mondays, you'll know that I have recordings with Eisen and the guys. This did not go like clockwork this time. I'll get into why in a minute. Basically, for those who, for whatever reason, don't know, and you probably don't, because it only happens twice a year, how my vet works is I drop the animals off early. Like, I think it's varied over the years. Like, sometimes I've gone in at 9, whatever. This particular case, 7. Had to get him in there by 7 a.m. Not fun. So I got next to no sleep. added to the fact that I'm naturally insomniac. Not severely. There are people who literally cannot sleep for days at a time. I have a very mild case where it basically takes me as much as 5 hours longer to fall asleep. But I naturally have trouble sleeping, and then throw in the fact that I have a cold, so my breathing is all fucked. And so right when I would fall asleep, I have to get up and blow my nose, and that kind of botches the whole attempt. So yeah, I got very little sleep, like maybe 2 hours of sleep. Then my aunt called, and I had to stay up so that I'd be ready, so that I could... Well, actually, I had to stay up for a while so that I could get her up, and then when she called, I had to stay up still so that I could be ready. The initial plan had been to hang out at my friend's house, but he had car shopping to do, so that didn't materialize. And plan B was to basically go to the library, while my aunt ended up taking me to her house. So I just kind of hung out there all day. I read Pacific Rim and started the prequel to Pacific Rim 2, which is kind of interesting so far. I'm not very far into it yet, so I can't really speak for it. But I've started it. And after a while, I managed to get some sleep in the recliner. I slept about an hour all day. Keep in mind, I'm naturally nocturnal. What this implies is that no matter how much sleep I get, I am, by default, very drowsy, especially in the mornings. It just happens. Something about that early morning sunlight sleepies the fuck out of me. I have no control over it, it just is. Something I've learned to live with. Alright, give me a second. Yeah, I'm not supposed to do it, but I'm turning on my air. It's hot as fuck in my room. Like, I am sweaty and sticky and miserable. And I'm the one of us that likes the heat, but not in the summertime. See, that's the thing people don't realize, is during the summer it has to be cool. During the winter it has to be hot. You know? During the wintertime, I can tolerate temperatures as high as 86 degrees without fucking flinching. During the summer, anything over 77 is very unpleasant. At least in my room. So I'm just gonna turn the air on for a couple minutes, get it down to like 74 or so in here. Enough that I can feel cool, and then turn it back off. So, yeah, long story short, I got pretty much no sleep that day. So I get with Eisen and the guys, and we're due for recording, and it's just a clusterfuck, because I think it took us 4 attempts to even finish the part we were at, because we kept having net malfunctions that threw one or more of us. The first time it threw everybody but me and Eisen, and I suggested that we just beat the level, because we were far enough along that we could have. But then they're like, well, the other 2 guys wouldn't get the credit, so we exited out and tried again. The second time, only one person was thrown, Eisen, and they suggested finishing the level until I pointed out, Eisen's the guy doing the recording, without him we have no video, and they're like, oh shit. The third time was just a mess in general, and the fourth and final time, we succeeded. The problem was, as I pointed out, that the longer it took for us to get a successful run, the less energy I had to work with. I was fading hard, you know? I just was not feeling anything. So, basically because of me, we got a recording of a level done. And according to Eisen, an outtake video. Whether he chooses to use it or not is up to him. It's his channel. I ain't gonna say one way or the other. But the option remains. Now, because I basically said at the end of that video, I'm like, should we keep going or should we stop here? And they're like, yeah, Kyrix is kind of phoning it in. I don't think it was meant in a accusatory manner. But as I basically said, this is the quietest I've ever been in a recording, you know, that wasn't done on purpose. Because, as I said, I have enough brain power to push the buttons or commentate, you know? I can't do both. So, this is one of those videos that you could be excused for thinking I had no mic or something. But, and then Tuesday, one of the guys had plans with friends, so he wasn't able to make it. So, this week was kind of a wash for the group project, which it happens, you know. If anything, it was my fault, because if I had had more energy, we'd have gotten a shitload more done and wouldn't necessarily have felt the loss of that one day of recording as keenly as we did. But yeah, I kind of fucked it up for everyone. You know, it just was a bad day. Basically, they have to, not only do they have to wait for the pet's anesthetic to wear off, because their dental comes with the anesthetic, but they also have to observe them for an hour or two to make sure nothing went wrong. And Oreo, the little shit queen that she is, wasn't having it that day at all. She just was not having that shit. And she, they weren't able to do most of her side shit until the anesthetic took her, because she was being bitey. Now, I don't think this is going to be as bad as Kisa was, because, as they put it, the dental shit, there's a lot more involved, a lot more poking and prodding, and she just wasn't having it. But, you know, the other girls, we could have picked up the other girls by 3. You know, no issues. But because of Oreo having her little delays, even when they did get her done, they had to watch her for a couple hours. We weren't allowed to pick her up till 5:30. We got there at 6. So long story short, their veterinary episode lasted 11 hours. And of that 11 hours, I had an hour and a half at most of sleep. So I was not a very perky boy. Which is a shame, because I usually am. Not that it's going to affect any of you at all, because I don't face cam, but this is the last week for hopefully a very long time that I will be the shaggy mess that I am. Now, only 1 or 2 people who have not met me in person have ever seen what I look like, because I'm not particularly photogenic, despite what my friends try to tell me otherwise about. You know? But, yeah, long story short, I have no self-confidence in my looks at all. You know? I am the Gorgon. But, I, today, because all of us got paid, should be picking up money from Walmart that my aunt is sending me for my mother. I will also be sending back money to a friend, Skinner, who was kind enough to, on the spot at the last second, loan me $25 because Oreo needed a tapeworm injection. That is an injection to get rid of her tapeworm. We're not trying to de-chub my cat. And, one time I had to let that go because I just did not have the funds, and it was Winkles. And so I, for 6 months, had to live with the fact that my cat had tapeworms and I didn't do anything about it, because I couldn't. It wasn't intentional. I would never intentionally, if I had the money, say, oh, she doesn't need to not have tapeworms, you know? It fucking killed me for 6 months, and you bet your ass that when I knew her next vet visit was coming along, that I set aside like $50 or so in case the tapeworms had spread to the other cats, which it didn't, thankfully. But it was not fun. I was very displeased with everything involved with that, as I should be. But I didn't have the money this time, so I tried to call my one friend who was doing the car shopping, but couldn't get a hold of him. Not a surprise, he can be very difficult to reach by phone, especially when he's at work or driving. because he's the kind of guy who does not answer the phone usually when driving, and who doesn't at work. I don't know if it's because he's super busy all the time, or if it's just because the work frowns on it or what, but he's a bitch to reach. You know, he's my fucking brother, I love him, but he's a bitch to reach, you know? So I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, Skinner could send me the money, because he once told me, because I had been talking to him, he's like, hey, if you need money for an emergency thing for your pets, call me, dude. I'm like, okay. So I called him, I'm like, hey, I hate to come out of the blue and ask you this, but can you loan me $25 till, like, the 3rd? Which naturally came up with the issue of how do I get it to you, because there was, he lives in Tennessee and I live in Florida. You know. Kind of a bit of a distance there. So I basically had him PayPal it to me, and then immediately got on PayPal and had it sent to my bank. Well, the problem is, that takes 24 hours. So I got my aunt to spot me the money, and I would pay her back, and then when the 3rd happened, I would pay him back, and... I'm not gonna bore you with the details, but it took a little sorting, but it's sorted out now. Needless to say, Kyrix pulled off a gold medal financial gymnastics show yet again. And, oh, anyway, picking up money from my mother via my aunt, via Walmart. Because, you know, she's in fucking Clearwater, my aunt's in Largo, I'm in St. Pete. If you're not familiar with Florida, there's a lot of driving involved in all that shit. But I basically asked for $50 because $50 will get me a haircut, it will get me an electric razor so I can shave, and it will get me new sandals because mine are literally tearing in half. They're not in danger of shredding yet. Like, these sandals, I could conceivably wear these things for a year or more, but I almost never buy new shoes, and me getting new shoes last time was kind of a fluke. I just happened to be in a place where I could get shoes at a time where I had money. So, shit like that is exceedingly rare for me. And I basically decided that I'll continue wearing these sandals until they suffer catastrophic failure. But I'm gonna have other shoes on standby for when they have a catastrophic failure. You know, I'm not just gonna be this barefoot person. I mean, hey, if you do bare feet, that's all you, but I am not Cody Lundeen. I need my foot covers. My feet are icky enough as it is. And they really are icky, and this isn't just me being modest. I really need to do a couple more little regimens of soaking my feet, scraping dead skin off, because my feet are a mess. They're icky as fuck. Between calluses and just dead skin and some cataclysm involving my toe, I have no idea what that's all about. But yeah, I ordered my electric razor. I could have had shipping. If I'd bought enough stuff, I could have had free shipping. But I chose instead to get free store pickup. It'll take longer, because I could basically have the shit by, like, Saturday if I shipped it. Or I could have it by Tuesday and not pay $25 goddamn dollars. I'm paying $18. So yeah, I go up to Walmart enough that it's just possible for me to grab it. So basically what I'm looking at is Tuesday, either before or after Pokemon League, I will pick up my razor. I will find a barbershop that will take shears to my head, because I need it. And I will get a haircut, and I will shave, and I will send a couple of my friends the before and after pictures. You know, just because why the fuck not? God damn it, now I have no tools. And, yeah, that's just a thing I want to do. Because, it was brought up a couple times during my last few interviews that shaving is a thing. And I've never shaved. If you're wondering why I'm getting an electric razor and not, like, why don't you just grab a disposable? Because I never learned to shave. No one ever taught me. I've never, and still don't, grow enough facial hair to really bother with shaving. I'm just kind of a scruffy mess. But when I say scruffy mess, I mean I look like a fucking 13-year-old growing their first vestiges of a beard at the age of 35. You know, I do not really grow facial hair. I mean, I have some, but not really what I would consider facial hair. It's the kind of thing that I am able to manage with scissors. Once every other month or so. And since I never grew enough facial hair to bother with, no one ever taught me how to shave, and I don't really have a lot of adult males in my life that I have handy, just like, okay, dude, come here, we're gonna teach you how to shave. And I am not, untrained, gonna take a fucking knife to my face. So, electric razor it is. I can at least manage one of those. I grabbed a little battery-operated Norelco thing for like a couple bucks. You know, it was on sale. Consumer reviews look pretty good. There was another one that was more expensive that was a corded. I'm like, oh, this thing's corded. Let me check out the customer reviews. Oh, this thing's garbage. You know, it's like the top things were like 1-star reviews and shit. I think it had maybe 2.5 stars cumulative compared to like the 4.5 that my Norelco did. So, yeah, I'm going to, for the first time in my life, own a razor. I will try to resist the urge to shave the butts off my pets. When I was a child, I guarantee I'd have done it. 'Cause, yeah. Matter of fact, funny story. My mother was for a long time convinced that my early cat Riddles had some kind of skin condition because she was missing hair on all sorts of places. When really what had happened is I, as a child, had decided to give her a haircut with some scissors, and it just took forever to grow back. You know? And because the rest of her fur was growing at the same rate, it just, for years, she looked like she was just missing patches of fur. And it was because I was an asshole kid who decided my kitty cat needed a haircut. And she's sitting there like, she's got some kind of disease! No, Mom, your son's just a retard. Riddles was fine. Which, turns out Riddles was actually not fine in the long run. She, her kidneys gave out. And rest assured, I have decided that will never happen to my girls. See, here's the thing about pets. Pets, George Carlin put it best that when you have a pet, you are purchasing a small tragedy. And it really is true. On the other hand, you kind of wouldn't want to have it any other way. You know, they very much are your babies. But, hold on, I gotta get a paper towel. My nose is all pluggedy again. Sorry, I'm back. But pets are a very trial and error ownership thing. You're gonna fuck up. There is no perfect pet owner. You're always going to fuck up. It's really never gonna stop. The question isn't, are you gonna fuck up? It's, are you gonna learn from it so you don't fuck up in the same way twice? And for my part, I've tried to make sure that I don't fuck up in the same way twice. So, basically, long story short, Riddles died of kidney failure. You know, her kidneys gave out. We didn't catch it in time, and if we had, she'd have lived longer. She would have eventually died. She'd definitely be dead by now, because she was already, like, 12 years old, and Kisa died at the age of, like, 9 or 10. So she'd be well on her way to her 30s right now, and cats, as a rule, just do not live that long. But because Riddles died of kidney failure, and they told me if we'd have caught it early, we might have been able to help you. I mean, we could still do something, but it'd be expensive, and the odds of her surviving would be low. So we obviously didn't. I made sure that when Kisa went to the vet and got on a wellness plan, that his wellness plan covered kidney screenings. And all of the cats that I have now, all 4 of my girls, have that service. Likewise, I learned that wet food is important to protect their kidneys, so all of them have a wet food day. As did Kisa, until he got diabetes and had to eat wet food. Exclusively. And that's another thing. Kisa got diabetes because he had a feeder tank. He basically had unrestricted food access, and he just gorged himself, got overweight, and got diabetes. And that ended up killing him. I learned from that experience, my girls get controlled portions. Granted, they have access to each other's portions, but none of them gorge themselves to the point where that's really a concern. You know? It just is a thing. So what we're going to do now, we're going to take this dirt. Actually, I'm going to take this dirt like this. And we're going to build a little path over here. We'll worry about where this path is going later and how to connect it. But for now, we're just going to make this path. Oh, Willow, hold on. Oh, poor baby. You okay, sweetheart? Did you eat too fast? Hold on, I'll clean it up, baby. Take that baby towel. Yeah. No, it's good, baby girl. It's okay. You didn't do anything bad. You just got sick. Well, shit. Sorry about that, guys. Willow hung her head over the side and just horked all over the place, which, you know, it's not her fault. Well, that's interesting. They can do that? So yeah, I need to find where I drowned and get my shit back, or we're just done with this playthrough. Because I'll be fucked if I'm doing that again. Rio, god damn it, I'm gonna beat your furry ass. I don't have time for your bullshit, cat. So yeah, basically, every single time something claims one of my pets, I learn from that and make sure that they are the last pet to suffer from that. Like, there's nothing to say that the girls won't die of kidney failure. It's a really big, common way for pets to die. But, it damn sure won't happen without me doing my best to prevent it. Okay, now the good news is if I can't find this place in time to get my shit back, and it's looking like that's going to be the case. God damn it. At least the only thing of value that I'm losing is the map. God damn piece of shit. None of this shit looks familiar. One thing, there's far too much goddamn sand. If I were anywhere near here, I'd have harvested this ages ago. And without the compass, or without the map, I can't even tell what direction I'm fucking going in. And I can't just exit the game because the fucking thing auto-saves. Wait. No, it doesn't. Exit without saving. So I'm gonna lose my fucking work. I don't care. I'm not gonna lose my shit. It's not like I did anything this whole time anyway. I just decommissioned an island. Which I didn't need to do in the first fucking place. Okay, we're gonna jump back in. Yay! I still have my shit. Fuck you, I'm gonna do it my way. God damn it, get up there! So yeah, that cost me a little bit of work, but it was busy work. You know, it wasn't like I lost anything. That being said, let's get that thing going, shall we? Let's start this shit up again. Perfect. Okay. No. Get this. That is a thing. I have a lot less dirt than I otherwise would. So I'll take a little bit off the top here, because that's how you get it. Part of me wants to go get those 8 bricks of iron, but... yeah, if this had been 7 days to die, I'd have been a little more fucked, because that does autosave when you exit. But 7 days to die also shows you where you fucking go. You're like, oh, you died, here's where your shit fell. You know? So it's not as needlessly cruel as this game is. But, yeah, Pokemon League was kind of a wash this week. I won a single game. That game was against a girl playing the Pokemon card game for the first time. And there really was no chance that I was going to lose, because my basic Pokemon that I drew to start with was Dawnwing's Necrozma. And she was using basically a trainer deck, which was just garbage in comparison to that. There was literally no chance in hell that she could have beaten me with the card that I drew. You know. And it's nothing against her, and all things considered, with what she was up against, she did remarkably well. You know, not to take away for an instant from her actual attempts, even though me and another kid were basically playing it for her. She still did really well considering what she was up against, because my deck is, let's say, mildly competitive, because I don't know what the fucking card meta is, but, probably not too atrociously far from what I was using. I mean, I do go online and play this deck a lot, so... Alright, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna... just gonna make a little box. I'm gonna put shit in it. Not gonna make it very big to start with. We don't need it to be. We are gonna need a lot more glass, though. Alright, for those wondering what the fuck I'm doing now, this game requires, if you're gonna grow shit, Okay, hi Facebook. If you're gonna grow shit, you need grass. You need dirt that's basically capable of having grass on it. You're probably gonna till it, so it's not going to have grass anymore, but it needs to have that capability, and it will not just have grass unless you get grass there, unless that was fixed in a patch. So basically, if I want to make, say, a fortress in the sky, which I do with surprising regularity, you need to walk some grass up there. Now you can eventually get rid of the platform. Once you have the grass, you have the grass. You know? But you have to get it there first, and it's hard enough to do that shit. When you're in the sky, it's much more difficult when you're talking water. Matter of fact, what we're going to do here is, well, first and foremost, let's do this. Before I even put a roof on this fucking thing, let's just get the sand in place. Okay, perfect. Okay. What I'll probably do is run some kind of a tunnel there. For the moment, this will do, but I'll probably get more creative in a little bit. Basically, once you have the grass, you don't need to fuck with it anymore. But the trick is to first get the grass. And I actually don't think this particular pathway is going to work. But if nothing else, it got me where I need to be with this. You know what I mean? Like, I at least now have the setting, as it were. Like, this can be its own little pod later on. Alright, perfect. That'll do. Now I could just box this in. Okay, so the name of the game here is just to get grass here, because once I have it here, I can walk it wherever I need it to be, to other pods. And in this particular game, because I'm not planning to turn peaceful mode off, I'm not going to need to grow food. I'll probably do it for the hell of it. But what I will need to do is grow trees. And I like to do shit underwater because it's fun. And really, when you're playing Minecraft, if you're not doing it for fun, why the fuck are you doing it, you know? Suppose I should get the sand back first. Let's do that. Let's get my sand back. Oh. Hehe. So we're just going to do an up and down here. Now, as I've shown off before, what's going to happen is, when I finally glass this whole thing in, it'll be airtight, as it were. Which is important, because I need to breathe. So, on the PlayStation 4 front, I talked to the roommate. He basically hedging, talking about, oh, maybe next month we'll talk about it because he wants to play Red Dead Redemption when it comes out. And I'm like, dude, if you sell it to me, you'll still be able to play it. I mean, I'll have it in my room, but if you want to play a game, I can bring it out here for you to play. But, hopefully it won't be too much of an issue, because what I'm hoping for is, with the new haircut that's happening, and my razor and all that, I'm hoping that I will have much more feasible job prospects in this month. Because that would mean that I could potentially have a paycheck. And Kyrix with a paycheck is a happy Kyrix. Because then Kyrix can afford things like food and socks and shit like that. I'm not a clothes guy, but chances are when I get some money... Hold on, I'm gonna blow my nose. I'm gonna take stock of all of my clothing and basically toss out anything that isn't in either fantastic condition or have sentimental value to me, which is generally something that bought for me for Christmas or as a gift, you know? And I'm just gonna chuck it and buy new shorts and new tank tops and new socks and new underwear. And work clothes, of course, because I'll need that. But yeah, I basically want to ditch it and just be able to, you know, have new shit. Because, I mean, I get new clothes every now and then. Usually bought for me because I don't really have it in the budget myself. But, it really doesn't help much. Yeah, see how the grass is spreading? Oh, that's fun. I apparently got a thing for that. Okay, apparently I'm gonna do it that way then. That's fine. Get that glass flowing. So yeah, the channel's gonna get a massive overhaul when I get a job, because I will be able to get a new computer, I will have a decent capture card, I will probably have HD stuff, I will have a new computer, I might have mentioned that already, more consoles, and so on. And there are a couple things, like I will finish up whatever Let's Plays I currently have in the works, and then I will just stop for a while and start focusing on, say, next year. So that 2019, I mean, 2018 you'll still... Oh, we have wolves. Okay, that's cool. So that 2018 comes around, or 2018, I will still be doing updates. I might do the occasional side thing, and I will definitely do guest spots for anyone whose channel will have me collab with them. And, I will be working on the 2019 upload schedule, whatever it is, you know. And then 2019 will come around, and I will hopefully have going on what I had going on last year, which was basically every single day of the fucking week is accounted for at all times. And yes, a job will hinder that quite a bit, because I won't have as much free time. But when you consider how much of my time I already spend slacking and not recording, it really isn't that hard for me to keep up with my Let's Play schedule. Oh, one thing that absolutely will be done this year is the 4-job fiesta, because that's the thing I do every year. And if I have a job this time, I will be making donations, and I will be setting goals like, hey, I'm going to be doing whatever half-hour videos, and I will be doing off-screen grinding, etc., but basically, I'm going to grind until I get, you know, my job mastered, and after that I'm going to do half-hour videos, and if I can beat this boss by this video, I will donate X money, you know, kind of thing. I I really want to engage with, the viewers. I want to be able to donate shit. I mean, here's the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that the poorer you are, a lot of times, the more charitable you tend to want to be. Whether you are or not is open for interpretation. But for me, I've been poor. I am poor. I know what poor is like, and it fucking sucks. Poor is garbage. Poor is horrible. And no one should have to be poor. And in the case of Child's Play, which is, I believe, bringing video games and shit to sick kids, I'm a level with you. I had something similar. Not a charity, but I had something similar happen to me as a kid. Now, mine was never anything serious, and I actually grew up very middle class. It's only in the past decade or so, when I became more on my own finances, that we got really poor. Basically, it started after my grandma died, but that's not a thing. Anyway, I was born with cleft lips, so I had to have a lot of plastic surgery to correct my face. During one of my frequent doctor visits, because I went to the doctor all the time to basically check on shit. I don't know what spawned this, if it was just a routine checkup that they noticed this in, or if I'd been having problems or whatever. But as it was explained to me, and this is probably wrong, but this is how it was explained to me as a child, I was missing bone in my face. That they needed to take bone from my hip to graft into my mouth to give the rest of my face support. That's how it was explained to me as a child. So, this was my longest invalid surgery ever. Now, I saw it as a kid that I was there for like a month or so. My mother claims that I was in there for 3 days to a week. But nonetheless, I was stuck in the hospital for a prolonged period of time and couldn't walk because they took a bone out of my fucking hip. And I think this is when I was in 3rd grade, actually. This is when I started 3rd grade, because I came into 3rd grade like a week late because I was in the fucking hospital, But I was in the hospital, and I'm stuck in the room, and I'm a kid. I'm a hyper kid. There's no toys well, there are toys in the hospital, but they're not in my room. And even if they were, I can't get up to play with them because I'm bedridden. And those incidents where I had to be trained to walk again were, quite frankly, fucking agonizing because, big-ass gash in my hip, that kind of shit. So, I want to say it felt like 2 or 3 days, but probably the 1st or 2nd day, my mother and stepfather wheeled a TV into my room and brought me my Nintendo. Now, there were Nintendos for the hospital, but this was actually my Nintendo brought in. When I say Nintendo, for those who don't know, this is the Nintendo Entertainment System, the old NES. When you were a kid, there just was one Nintendo, and that was it. I only bring that up because nowadays there's the Switch, there's the Wii, there's the Wii U, there's the DS, there's the 3DS, the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Advance SP, the Game Boy Color, the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Nintendo GameCube, the Nintendo 64, the Super Nintendo, blah blah blah. No, we're talking the NES. And they'd even bought me a new game, Go 13 Top Secret Episode, which... really weird fucking game to get a kid, but okay. It was like decades later that I learned anything about Go 13. That it's a pretty adult anime, like there's sex and nudity and lots of killing in it. So I had no idea who this character was, I barely had a concept of how to play, but I played it, it was fun. For what it was a lot of fun. And, being in the hospital for, again, it was probably just a week, but either way, being in the hospital like that, and having them wheel in a fucking Nintendo with a video game, made things infinitely better. Infinitely fucking better. You just cannot, as a child, gauge what that shit means to you when you're laid up in the hospital. You're hurt. I don't know if you ever had surgery. It hurts. I mean, yes, painkillers are a thing, But painkillers eventually stop, and you're left with a lot of hurt. Everything hurt. My face hurt. My hip hurt. Parts of my bones were just sore because I was a child. And you don't think about it, but surgery is a very traumatic thing. I mean, your body responds to it like you were fucking attacked. Your body doesn't know that it's okay now, that the wounds are stitched shut and the doctors are taking care of you. Your body just knows that you were ripped open in a lot of places and parts of you are missing now. And it fucking hurts. So you'll take whatever. I mean, like, oh, someone gets me a stuffed toy. I can hug this and take my mind off how much I'm hurting, you know. Well, with the Nintendo, I wasn't focused on how much my face hurt, or the fact that my hip hurt, or the fact that I couldn't walk to get up to go to the bathroom. I focused on, hey, I've got my Nintendo, and sometimes I'd get wheeled into the playroom and play Excite Bike, because that was a fun game as a child. Probably still is. Very limited game, but a fun game nonetheless. I didn't own Excite Bike until I was much older, but oh, such a good game. Anyway, so yeah, Child's Play charities doing shit like that for, I don't know if it's sick kids, meaning hospitalized or terminally ill or whatever, but having been in something similar, that's a big deal, you know. So when I actually get a stable income and have disposable income, I will be putting donations towards that shit. You know, I'm not going to do a Berserker run, let's not get fucking stupid here. But I will be making donations, and I will probably set donation goals for myself, like if I can do this by this, I do this. I don't yet know if there'll be punishment donations or celebratory donations, but they will be a thing. If I have a decent income by then, because I'll also, if I have a decent income by then, I'll be on a computer that can record this Steam version of Final Fantasy V, which is so much better because I can auto-battle. And auto-battle makes grinding so much easier. Like, I've been playing Final Fantasy VI with an auto-battle feature. And it is... I am so powerful in it right now because they have a bestiary in there. And if you run into the same enemy 10 times, it gets a bronze token. 20, it's a silver, and 30, it's a gold. I have no idea if these tokens mean a goddamn thing, but I've been gold tokening everything. Which means I will stay in an area and grind on them until I run into 30 of every enemy in that area. And some of them are really rare and only show up like once every 10 battles and only one at a time, so... Let me put it this way, before I even beat the first boss, I decided that I was going to have everyone at level 10. Because they start you at like level 2 or 3, I'm like, no, we're gonna be power leveling through this. I'm going to be level 10 before I even fight the boss. So, being able to do that in Final Fantasy V will be a big trip. And I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, I would have gotten a lot done, but I drowned because Willow hung her head over the table and horked all over the floor. Which I don't begrudge her, you know, we all get sick. It happens. Unless you die as you're born, you're gonna get sick. You're gonna get pukey. It's a shitty situation. Nobody likes that. To this day, I don't understand how bulimia is a thing. Because to me, vomiting is one of the most unpleasant situations you can have that doesn't involve physical trauma, you know? I mean, obviously, getting hit by a car is worse, but I don't like to puke. So, the idea that people would eat something and then puke it up is just utterly foreign to me. I could never wrap my head around that as a child. I mean, I've learned to an extent how to make myself throw up. And before you get any weird ideas, sometimes you just get nauseous and vomity, and you just have to puke so that the feeling will go away. It's like whatever's in there has to come out. I'm going to be miserable all goddamn day, or I can be miserable for 20 minutes. You know? And I say I can do it to an extent because I fail 90% of the time. I'll basically end up dry heaving, but usually that tends to fix the problem for some stupid reason, because my body is apparently very easy to trick. It's like, well, you puked. It counts. It really doesn't, but thank you. I didn't want to do that anymore. Actually, let's get rid of that one. So yeah, nothing major in Pokemon. I finally watched Spider-Man Homecoming. So I've now watched Thor Ragnarok, Spider-Man Homecoming, I just need to catch Black Panther, and I'm caught up for Infinity Watch, or Infinity War rather. Here's the thing. I, for the life of me, do not get why everyone hates that fucking movie so much. I really liked Homecoming. Okay, apparently they've redone how this shit works. Well, I'll deal with it later. For now, it is what it is. And what it is a little glass box in the middle of goddamn nowhere. And that's fine. Little glass box full of water. That's cool. But yeah, I'm sitting here watching this, I'm like, dude, why do people hate this? I'm still trying to figure out why people hated Amazing Spider-Man 2. You know, because I watched that movie, I'm like, this is a good movie. You know? I don't fucking get why everyone hated that. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the new Spider-Man, especially since he's in the Marvel Universe, but I really like pretty much everything about him as a character. But I would not have been sad to see the Sinister Syndicate movie and Amazing Spider-Man 3. I would have actually liked it. But, yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I fast-forwarded through a lot of the high school shit, because here's the thing. Secret identity shit, to me, is always cringy. And I don't do cringe very well. It just, as a rule to me, anything where you're trying to protect your secret identity is, by default, inherently cringy. And I don't have a problem with it with most superhero movies because it rarely comes up. I mean, Batman doesn't do a whole lot of secret identity shit because he's very rarely Bruce Wayne. And Bruce Wayne is so wildly not Batman that it's not going to come up. Clark Kent, it doesn't come up as much, and most of the people... The main person who would notice, Lois, usually knows in some point, so it's not a big deal if she finds out. Captain America is officially Steve Rogers. In the MCU, Iron Man... Tony came out as Iron Man in his first movie. There was a very short period of time where no one knew he was Iron Man, whereas in the comics he was a secret for a long fucking time. Like, the Avengers didn't know that Iron Man and Tony Stark were the same person forever. At least 50 issues in. You know, Iron Man was Tony Stark's bodyguard, and that's what they thought he was. But just watching Pete do all this shit where he's like, "Oh, I'm, you know, I'm really not Spider-Man," kind of shit. It's cringy, so I fast-forwarded through it. I didn't mind his friend. I don't particularly agree with Spider-Man having a friend who knows who he is that early on, because here's the thing about the Marvel Universe. There is no hero, to the best of my knowledge, who has guarded their secret identity more aggressively than Spider-Man. When it comes to secret identity, Spider-Man is the most paranoid superhero. That's why him revealing his identity in Civil War, the comics, not the movie, was such a big fucking deal. Because he's the last hero anyone would think would ever do that. You know? Let me put it this way. In DC, there was a storyline called Identity Crisis where it came out that every single time a supervillain found out a hero's identity, they had Zatanna wipe his memory. And half the Justice League was okay with this, and the other half was adamantly opposed, and Batman was one of the ones opposed. and they wiped his mind of it. If they had a thing like that in Marvel, I fucking promise you Spider-Man would have used it. And that's the thing, Spider-Man's one of the most upstanding heroes in the Marvel Universe. He will not hesitate to rewrite someone's memories to protect his own identity, because he fucking did it once. It cost him his marriage. It was a stupid storyline, but it's entirely understandable that it's something he would do. So on the one hand, I don't like the fact that he has a friend this early in his career who knows who he is. But he serves a function. They have a good dynamic. And this is something completely contrary to Spider-Man in almost all the comics. But I really like the fact that his suit, as technical as it is, which it's still a fabric suit, but it's really high-tech. I love the fact that he has an AI to talk to. His little AI, Karen. I really like that addition as a character. Just the fact that he has one. The character itself is nice on top of that. And here's why. Because Spider-Man is at his best when he's talking. I mean, no one does action quite like him because he has a very unique way of moving. But it's not Spider-Man if he's not quipping and talking and chatterboxing. And with Karen, he has someone at all times to talk to that will talk back to him. So he's not just talking to himself, which is entertaining in itself. He has another mind to interact with, and that's a lot of fun. So we're going to call it here. Thanks for sticking with me despite my fuck-up and my numerous trips away from the computer. Bye-bye, everybody.